You've probably seen this exact moment and felt your stomach tighten a little. Your baby suddenly stretches their whole body hard. Maybe the arms shoot out, the legs straighten, the fingers spread, the face goes serious for a second. And then everything goes still. No smile, no cry right away, just that strange pause, that freeze. And in that tiny moment, your brain starts racing. Are they uncomfortable, overtired, startled? Is something wrong? Or is this just one of those random baby things no one can really explain? What makes this moment so unsettling is that it looks dramatic, but it passes fast. And because it passes fast, most people brush it off with a quick answer. Oh, babies just do weird stretches. And yes, sometimes they do. But that explanation can be too shallow for what you're actually seeing. Because babies don't just move, they communicate through movement. Long before they have words, they use tension, posture, gaze, breathing, and stillness to show you how they're handling the world around them. That means a hard stretch followed by a freeze is not always meaningless. Sometimes it's your baby's nervous system talking. Sometimes it's a brief reset. Sometimes it's a sign they need less, not more. And sometimes that little freeze is the most important part, because it can tell you whether your baby is coping, organizing themselves, or quietly asking for a break. So if you've ever looked at your baby in that moment and thought, what was that? The answer may be much deeper than most parents realize. And once you see why this stretch and freeze pattern happens, a lot of other baby cues suddenly start making sense too. Most parents are first told the simple version. Your baby's stretched because they're growing, or because they're waking up, or because they have gas. And to be fair, those explanations are not completely wrong. Babies do stretch during normal state changes. They can wriggle, extend, grunt, and tense up when their bodies are adjusting. In the early months especially, their systems are immature, their movements are less controlled, and a lot of what they do can look more intense than it really is. But here's where the common explanation falls short. It treats the movement like a random physical event, when in many cases, it's part of a full communication pattern. Infant behavior guidance consistently shows that babies use body language to signal whether they are ready to engage, becoming tired, feeling stressed, or needing a break. That includes jerky movements, turning away, stiffening, arching, finger spreading, fussing, and sudden changes in alertness. In other words, the dramatic stretch is often not the whole message. It's one piece of the message. And the freeze after it matters, because stillness in babies is not always calm in the way adults imagine calm. Sometimes stillness is regulation. Sometimes it is concentration. Sometimes it is a protective pause. Babies will often reduce eye contact, go quiet, or lower movement when they are trying not to get overwhelmed. So when you see that hard stretch and freeze, don't just ask what body part is bothering them. Ask the better question. What is my baby trying to manage right now? Because the moment you stop seeing it as random and start seeing it as communication, the whole picture changes. And that's where the real science begins.
One of the most important ideas in infant psychology is that babies move through different behavioral states all day long. They are not just either fine or upset. They move between deep sleep, light sleep, drowsy phases, quiet alertness, active alertness, fussiness, and crying. And each state changes how their body looks and feels. A baby in a quiet alert state may have bright eyes, smoother movement, and a more relaxed posture. A baby moving toward overload may shift into jerkier movements, stare off, stiffen, or suddenly disengage. That means the hard stretch may actually be the visible moment of transition. Your baby may be shifting from one state into another and using their body to do it. This is why some baby cue frameworks describe stretching, wriggling, irregular breathing, stiffening, and turning away as signs that a baby may need time to rest or reduce stimulation, not because something is automatically wrong, but because their system is working hard to stay organized. Then comes the freeze. That still moment can be your baby's version of a pause button. Their nervous system may be briefly lowering the volume. Instead of moving toward more interaction, more touch, more eye contact, or more noise, they pull back. And when a baby pulls back like that, it often means one simple thing. They are trying to cope before they tip into full fussing or crying. And once you understand that babies don't go from calm to crying in one jump, but often pass through these quieter in-between cues first, the stretch freeze pattern starts to look a lot less strange and a lot more revealing.
Here's the deeper twist most parents never hear. The stretch is not always the problem. Sometimes it is the baby's attempt to cope. Babies do not have mature self-control. They rely heavily on caregivers, but they also make tiny efforts to organize themselves. They may suck, bring hands to mouth, grasp, brace their feet, turn away, or reduce eye contact to manage intensity. In that context, a forceful stretch can be part of the body trying to discharge tension or reorganize sensory input. That helps explain why the freeze afterward can actually be meaningful. Your baby may not be glitching, they may be checking in with themselves. After a strong burst of muscular tension, the stillness may be a moment where their system decides, can I keep going or do I need less? This is especially likely during stimulation-heavy moments, even ordinary ones, when there is more sensory input than adults realize. A bright face close-up, too much talking, repeated bouncing, a noisy room. Even loving interaction can become too much when the timing or intensity is off. And this is why two babies can do a similar stretch for completely different reasons. One baby stretches, pauses, then makes eye contact again with smooth movements. That may be a normal reset before re-engaging. Another baby stretches, freezes, looks away, spreads fingers, stiffens, or starts fussing. That is a very different message. That says, I'm working hard here. Please lower the intensity. So the goal is not to memorize one dramatic movement and give it one dramatic meaning. The goal is to read the pattern around it. What was happening right before? Was your baby in a noisy place, making eye contact and then suddenly avoiding it? Calm and then jerky? Relaxed and then rigid? The truth usually lives in the sequence, not in a single move. And once you start seeing the sequence, you know exactly why your response matters. What this means for parents is surprisingly reassuring. You do not need to decode every stretch like a detective solving a mystery. You just need to respond to the whole cue cluster. If your baby stretches hard and then freezes, the best first move is usually not more stimulation, not more faces, not louder soothing, not trying 10 things at once. Start by softening the environment. Lower your voice. Pause your own movement. Give them a second. Watch their face, breathing, hands, and gaze. If they begin to relax, look back at you, soften their limbs, or return to smoother movement, that pause may have been exactly what they needed. If they keep looking away, get jerkier, clench fists, arch, fuss harder, or seem more unsettled, that often means the message was, I need less. In many cases, babies calm best when the world gets simpler and more predictable. Quiet, gentle touch, a secure hold, a small reset instead of a bigger performance. And here is the one caution worth keeping in mind without turning this into fear. A brief stretch freeze pattern by itself is usually best understood as behavior and communication, not as a crisis. But if these moments come with ongoing distress, unusual breathing changes, color changes, repeated vomiting, fever, extreme lethargy, or your baby seems persistently listless or hard to console in a way that feels outside their normal pattern, that is the point to check in with your pediatrician. The rule is simple. Watch patterns, not panic over single moments. Because most of the time, your baby is not doing something scary. They are showing you the edge of their capacity in real time. And when you respond to that edge calmly, you teach them something powerful. You teach them that when the world gets too loud, too bright, or too much, someone helps them come back. So the next time your baby stretches hard and then freezes, Try seeing it differently. Not as a random quirk, not as a sign you're missing something obvious, and not as proof that you need to fix everything immediately. See it as a sentence in your baby's first language, a body sentence, a nervous system sentence, a tiny message that says, "This is a lot," or "I'm shifting," or "Give me a second." That reframe changes everything. Instead of you getting pulled into anxiety, you become an anchor. You stop chasing the movement and start listening to it. And when parents do that, babies often don't need perfection. They need someone steady enough to notice the difference between ready, curious, overwhelmed, and done. Over time, you'll start spotting your baby's personal pattern. Maybe the hard stretch comes right before they need quiet. Maybe the freeze is followed by looking away. Maybe it happens during play when they've had enough. Maybe it shows up when they are trying to regulate after too much stimulation. The more you notice, the less confusing your baby becomes, and the more confident you feel, not because your baby stops communicating in surprising ways, but because you finally understand what those surprises are saying. If this helped you see your baby a little more clearly, stay with that instinct. Your baby is communicating long before words, and you are learning a language most people never realize exists. And next week, we're going even deeper into one of the most misunderstood baby signals of all. Why babies suddenly look away from you right in the middle of interaction, and what that moment is really trying to say.